Okay, so this week's homework is all about rounding numbers to the nearest 10,000 and 100,000. Okay, but before we go anywhere near that, we need just to remind ourselves of how we actually round numbers. Okay, and it's something that we've been struggling with in class, but over time we've developed our skills and we've got better and better. So let's go right back to the basics and rounding to the nearest multiple of 10. So if you look here, it says to round to the nearest 10, we look at the units. Okay, so the number that's in the units column. If it is above 5, we round up to the next multiple of 10, which is greater or bigger than the original number. Okay, so when we round to a multiple of 10, or we round to the nearest 10, your number must be a multiple of 10. So for example, it must end in 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, all the way up to 100. Okay, and it's going to have 1 0 at the end. Okay, at least 1 0 at the end. If the units digit is below 4, we round down to the previous multiple of 10, which is less than the original number. Okay, so if our units number is 4 or less, okay, it's still a multiple of 10, but it's going to be smaller than our original number. If it's 5 or above, it's going to be a multiple of 10, but it's going to be bigger than the original number. So if you have a look here, okay, we look at 1 in our units column. Okay, and we know that we're going to round down, so that turns it into 80. And we look here, we look at 4. 4 is in the units column. Okay, we're going to round down to 30. Both 80 and 30 are multiples of 10. We look here at 99. We know that we've got to round up. Okay, 100 is still a multiple of 10. It's got 1 0 at the end. Okay, so that we know it's a multiple of 10, and we have to round up. Now let's have a little look at rounding to the nearest 100, 1,000 or 10,000. It's exactly the same, it follows the same principle, but we just look at different digits in the number. So, when we are rounding to the nearest multiple of 10, we look at the units, okay, the number that's in the units column. If we round to the nearest 100, we look at the number that is in the tens column, okay, and if we round to the nearest 100, okay, your number must end in at least 2 zeros. Okay, if we're rounding to the nearest 1,000, we look at the number in the hundreds column, and the nearest 10,000 at the thousands column. And if you're going to round to the nearest 100,000, you would look at the tens thousand column. Okay, it's exactly the same. If the number in whatever column you're looking at is 5 or above, you round up to the nearest multiple of what you're rounding to. If it's 4 or below, you round down to the previous multiple of whatever you're rounding to. So, let's have a look at a big number here. We've got 135,731. Rounding it to the nearest 10, I look at my units number. It's 1, so I need to round it down, okay, to the nearest multiple of 10. 1,335, 133, I can't even say what I'm trying to say. 135,730 is still a multiple of 10. It has 1 0 at the end. Okay, let's have a look at it to the nearest 100. I look at the number in the tens column. It's 3, so I'm rounding down. Okay, 135,700 is a multiple of 100. It's got 2 zeros at the end, so I know that I'm in the right place. Okay, and I've rounded down to the nearest multiple of 100. If we look at our nearest 1,000, okay, let's just scoot these around. I look at my number in the hundreds column. Okay, it's a 7, so I round up. Now I'm going to need to change this to a 6, so it would become 136,000. Okay, it's still a multiple of 1,000. It's got 3 zeros at the end. It would be 136,000. 136,000. There you go. But I've looked at the number in the hundreds column, and I've had to change this one because I'm rounding up. Okay, so you might have to change the numbers when you're rounding up. And then finally, when we're rounding to the nearest 10,000, okay, I look at my thousands number, it's 5 and above, okay, so I need to round it up, okay, it's got 4 zeros at the end, as a multiple of 10,000 does have, okay, and I've had to change the 3 to a 4. So there we go, that's how we round up those large numbers. And your task this week was something like this one, okay, you've been given some numbers and you need to round them to the nearest 10,000 and 100,000, okay, so make sure you're looking at the correct digit, and if you're rounding up, you will need to change the next digit to the left. Okay, and if you're rounding down, you just round it down to the previous multiple of whatever you're trying to round it to. Make sure that your place value column are all lined up in the correct position. Okay, and you'll be fine.